What's up, y'all people, man? Family, folks, everybody that's involved in this particular contract. I haven't done in the car video in quite a while, but right now I'm looking at a 12-hour drive from Jacksonville, Florida, all the way up to where I'm currently living, around the Pennsylvania area and whatnot. And there's a couple of things I want to speak on. I apologize in advance if I sound a little bit off. When I go home and visit family and whatnot, I start to regress back to how I spoke back when I was about down south. So it's going to be a little bit different. So you're going to have to bear with me just a little bit. Now, first and foremost, I just looked at the contract balance. We're at about like 9.1 billion or so. And it looks like the trend that Craig Grant or RDNTL, CG, whatever he's going by these days, it looks like the trend that he predicted about a week ago or so is coming into fruition. I'm not entirely sure if it's due to FUD, if it's due to the arguments I've been seeing going on in the Tewkenaire Telegram, where the dude that dropped a million TRX originally was having some words with some of the people in the community. It's all been resolved from my point of view, from my perspective. So I'm on the fence. Either way, I believe that both sides are kind of correct in their line of thinking, just looking at their perspectives. So the well dude, I understand where he's coming from. He saw that the contract was slowly dying. He wanted to inject a little bit of life into the contract, so he did what he did. So I can understand where he's coming from, because he has such a large investment into the particular contract that it is in his best interest to keep the volatility, to increase the FOMO and all these type of things. I also understand where Trevon James is coming from, and the fact that he wanted the contract to more or less bottom out before the release of Hypertron, which is coming out December 3rd, mind you, before the release of Hypertron, so that when that DApp comes out, they're able to buy more tokens, which would allow them to have a larger piece of the pie, which in turn increases the stability of the contract because they're increasing the floor at a lower price point. So the effect of that particular contract, that particular gambling, casino, what have you, that effect will be magnified the lower the prices. So I can understand Trey's point of view in which he wanted the well to come in, and do the 10K buys slowly over a period of time. That way it's more natural of a growth that would signal an actual change in the direction of the contract. If you see a continual slow and gradual 10K per day or whatever the time span that Trey was thinking about, if you see that consistent 10K coming into the contract, then it would signify that the bottom is in and it's time for the hourglass to flip, and so us to start going more towards the buy side instead of the sell side. So I can understand that particular perspective. Now, one second, I'm driving, so people out here fooling around, I don't know what they're quite doing. All right, so with Hypertron coming out, I think that will add in that volatility that we have been missing. As I stated a little bit earlier in this video, we had a couple of predictions. I know RDNTL, CG, whatever you want to call him, I know he has a very large influence. He's a very good influencer because he makes such a large volume of videos, because he articulates his points very well and gets his point across in a concise manner. And that combined with his vocalization, or just the consistency of his viewpoint, I think that is why his predictions are more or less talking things into existence. Now, I'm not sure if the bottom is going to occur at 8 million, but hopefully we get a lot lower, because I'm on Trey's side, as I stated before. If we start getting in these partner dApps at lower Tron in the contract, then of course the price stability is strengthened. All right, it's a numbers game at that point. All right, if a dApp is able to come in and buy more tokens at a lower price, that ensures stability because they're buying into an ambassador's account, which we all know cannot sell. That ensures that when you're coming in after them, that your investment is more quote unquote safe, because there is a absolute minimum that the Tron price can go. So as the price floor is raised, you see what I'm saying? It makes it safer. Now, because we have a logarithmic increase and not just a linear increase, linear increase means that for every token, it has the same effect on the buy price. So it would just be, as the token is bought, the buy price increase incrementally at whatever the increment is, up in a very linear fashion. Since we're not dealing with that, but more logarithmic, where it starts to level off at very high Tron amounts, as I showed in my videos, once you get to like 15, 18, 20 million, the price barely fluctuates. It goes from like, I believe, 5.5 Tron up to maybe 7 Tron after adding upwards of 10 million to the contract, after you hit 15 million or so. Now, I have to check the math. I haven't quite looked at it in a while, but because we're thinking about this logarithmic increase, I think that if we can get that ambassador price floor, or whatever you want to call it, the pre-fund, whatever makes you or helps you sleep at night, whatever you want to call it, if we get that closer to where it starts to level off, I think investments after that point will mirror that of something like a power bank or Aether bank, in the sense that you have a stable price. It's not quite as stable, of course, because by virtue of people coming in and out of the contract, the price increases or decreases, right? However, if the floor is close to that leveling off of the contract, then that stability allows people to come in, they reduce their risk, and they also have the added benefit of the token price increasing slightly, something that is impossible with Aether Bank or Power Bank. So with that slight increase, plus the dividends from the volatility from people coming in and out, also the volatility of the partner dApps, also the volatility of the games that will be implemented directly into the contract, which Trey has hinted at, I think all of those things will make Tewkenaire a lot more attractive than something like a Power Bank or Aether Bank or P3D or GandhiG and things of that nature. And I know it may sound controversial. However, if you look at the math and the vision of the contract, like I've looked at it, and what is going on behind the scenes, I'm not 100% cognizant of what is going on in terms of the dApps, the deals that are being made, and all of that, because that's a little bit higher up, well, way higher up. I'm just, it's not discussed in the ambassadors chat. We don't have like some secret, round table Illuminati bullshit, where we're just talking about how we're going to do certain things with the contract. That's more high level. So the people that are in direct contact with these developers, they are the ones that have that inside information. I can't sit here and start talking out of my ass and telling you guys things that I'm not 100% aware of, so it would just be non-factual. But I do think that as we get a little bit farther into the future, because right now we're in what people are calling a dead spot, where there's very low volatility and things of that nature, but what people are failing to see is that very little of what was promised at the beginning has actually come to fruition yet. However, things are in the works. The dominoes will start falling, and as we get more contracts feeding into Tewkenaire, and as we get more games and things of that nature, as we get other sources of income other than people coming in and out of the contract, it will build up the trust in the contract and the fact that you do have a larger user base seeing your dApp as it feeds into the contract. So if Hypertron is successful, which I think it will be, there will be future dApps that, they will see this, and those dApps that don't have that very large marketing budget, they will start to see how beneficial it would be to come into Tewkenaire and things of that nature. So as more people come in, of course, those it's an avalanche effect, right? Or the snowball effect, which is the more correct term. So it just keeps building and building and building. Right now, we're so early within the development that I find it hard to believe that some people think that, we should be at 100 million already. That's just not feasible. It's not sustainable, right? So if a lot of people came in and we hit a new all-time high of like 20, 25 million, what is going to keep people interested long enough at that price point to stay in the contract, right? If we don't have that volatility. That's why, once again, I'm on Trey's side, in which I think that if we have a slow, gradual increase up to 20 million as more contracts come in, as the price floor is increased to where it can't be sold I think that would be the greatest, I'm trying to find the words here. I think that would be the greatest path to take. You understand what I'm saying? Because if we take a path of just quick gains, then we're going to see quick losses as well. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people get burnt by over and over and over with these contracts, because pump and dumps are not sustainable. We all have to get that through our minds, man. We have to all try to build something. And I have to start taking the onus of, as being an ambassador myself, I got to start making more videos, more content, because as it stands, there's so few people in that ambassador group that's making content and things of that nature, that I think that this thing will peter out. Now, don't get me wrong, as I stated in my FUD video, even though it was in jest, that some people are actually in the background working, as we see on the Tewkenaire main website. The new partner that came in, Block Arcade, that's made by one of the ambassadors, and Jason, I think it's Stallings is his last name. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he does very good work. I played that Block Arcade game quite a lot. The Stacker game is pretty goddamn fun, I'm not gonna lie. And I played on my phone, so things like that, even though it's I don't want to belittle the development of it, even though it's a relatively small DApp in this sense, and I'm speaking in terms of volume, in terms of usage and things like that, it shows a use case. You understand what I'm saying? So I think as more DApps do what he does, and as more ambassadors take it upon themselves to do kind of what he does, in the sense that he's doing development. He's not really a YouTuber, but he does develop behind the scenes. He comes up with great ideas, things like that. This has to be a community effort. We have to stop depending on Trey and Artie, Intel, Craig, whatever you want to call them. We have to stop depending on them to make content. We have to stop depending on them to be pushing forward, to being active in the Telegram, right? So I'm going to be one of those people. I'm going to try to start, making more of these type of style of videos, because I'm not always at my computer, and I understand that. So in order to make up for the fact that I'm not able to make 100% quality content all the time, I have to do sometimes these matter of fact, no bullshit style conversations. If I have to do that, and if people like that style of video, I'm going to continue to do that in addition to everything else that I do. So, if you've got any recommendations, or if you have any suggestions about what you want to see, what you want me to talk about, then I'm all for it, because of the nature of my job, which, a lot of people think, I just do DoorDash or some other bullshit along those lines. The nature of my job as a student and as a researcher is that I have to travel to and from different institutions, and those institutions being schools, government facilities, and things of that nature. I have to travel to and from them in order to perform the research that I'm doing at the moment. And with that being said, I have a lot of hours in my car driving to and from those different places. And since I just finished my last class for the rest of my entire life, I'm going to be traveling a lot more, so I'm going to be able to have more of these heart-to-heart style conversations. So because I'm doing it from my phone, which is a Google Pixel, none of that iPhone or anything like that, the quality is going to be on this particular level, such as this, because I'm mostly going to be traveling at night, because during the day I have to perform duties on campus, right? So as I stated, please, if you want to, discuss anything, I'm absolutely 100% willing to do that. But in order to fill the gap, in order to keep the awareness, the hype, or whatever you want to call it, around Tewkenaire up, and to keep people informed about my thoughts on it, what's coming out in terms of like developments and things of that sort, I think it's absolutely necessary for me to make these styles of video. Excuse me. I had a lot of coffee, man. This drive is close to 12 hours, as I stated, and I'm only drove like 4 hours so far, and I decided, hey, I haven't made a video in a while. I've been bullshitting for way too long. I have been, behind the scenes, and I've been dry fudding in the Tewkenaire Telegram, and I don't think that's helpful, to be honest with you. And I'm going to stop doing that, because I'm a troll by nature. That's just what I do. But I think as an ambassador, I have to hold myself up to a higher standard and be more helpful. And it's because because I'm doing it, I can't criticize other people for doing it. But there's a lot of ambassadors that do FUD, that do joke around a lot when people come in asking legitimate questions and things of that sort. And when they see us in that Telegram, we have either moderator, YouTuber, or whatever by our name. If they see that we're in there just joking around and bullshitting, it's going to be very hard for them to take the contract seriously. So with that being said, I have to change how I'm interacting in that particular Telegram as well, so that it's more conducive to people, you know, asking questions and getting their answers in a timely fashion. So that's another change I'm going to be making. I'm going to try. Matter of fact, I'm not going to try. I'm going to realize the goals that I set out. And those goals are to make at least 3 videos a week, to discuss different aspects of it that I don't see being discussed by the other people in it. Hold up, man. That won't be, see, sorry about that. This car is driving like 50 miles per hour to 70. This is ridiculous. And it's like 2 in the morning. I don't understand. But anyway, I'm going to try to give a different voice to what I'm kind of seeing on YouTube. I'm seeing people just talking about the dividends, just talking about, oh, the volatility is here, oh, the dividends are slow, this, that, and the third, not really offering any other different perspectives or forward thinking or anything like that. So I'm going to try to be in that particular realm. And I know at this point I'm just babbling, but I'm going to, you know, think it through. I'm going to try to make these videos as on point as possible. And because, you know, I'm doing this as more spontaneous, where I'm not sitting down and writing out a script, where I'm not putting a PowerPoint together, where I'm not doing calculations and all that other stuff. I think that because I'm thinking like as I talk and speaking more so from my experiences with these type of dApps, I think this is beneficial in the sense that this is an insight that if you haven't been in this space for a while, you wouldn't quite have, because you haven't seen it being performed before. Now, if you look at my channel, you know that I've been in these style of contracts for almost 2 years now. So I really do have a grasp on kind of how they operate, the boom and bust cycles, mentality that you have to have in order to be successful and things of that nature. So I think just bringing that perspective in itself is valuable. So hopefully it is. Hopefully people like this style of video. I will be able to tell pretty quickly if I see a large degree of downvotes hitting these videos, which, you know, I might expect, because just because it sounds good to me coming out of my mouth, it may sound completely different to you guys. So I want you guys to honestly hit either the upvote or the downvote, so I know exactly how y'all feel about these style of videos, man. With that being said, this has been Heem, and I'm signing out. Hope you guys have a good one. Peace.